Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Camille Jackson stood at the back of the Grand Ballroom in Atlanta, Georgia, her heart pounding beneath the soft navy dress she wore. She had promised herself she would not cry. Not today. Not at this wedding. Her ex-husband, Devin Walker, was marrying again, and for reasons known only to God and guilt, he had invited her. She came for closure, for peace, not to beg, not to cause a scene. She thought she was strong enough. But when the bride, a slim woman named Serena with bright eyes and a notably sharper tongue, raised her glass and said, "To a fruitful union, unlike the last one," the air thinned. Heads turned. The sting found the softest part of her. It was not just a comment. It was a wound reopened. Camille had spent 7 years trying to conceive. Doctor visits, hormone shots, prayers, and tears. Nothing had worked. Devin had once been supportive, but after year 5, the cracks began to show. By year 6, he was working late. By year 7, the papers were served. He never said it out loud, but the silence said enough. She thought time would heal. She did not expect humiliation in front of strangers and old friends. She gripped her clutch tightly and told herself, "Do not give them a show." Quietly, she slipped out. Alone in her small apartment in Decatur, Georgia, she curled on the couch and replayed the moment until it ached. Her therapist had said healing is not linear, but this felt like a freefall. Devin was gone. The children they planned never came. Even her dignity felt stolen for sport. Between sobs, a small flame rose. Not anger, not bitterness, resolve. That night, she opened her laptop, typed "adoption agencies near me," and clicked on a site she had bookmarked long ago, but never dared to open. Her hands trembled, then steadied as she filled in her name, Camille Jackson. She began the process quietly. She told no one. It felt sacred, something just for her. The paperwork was endless. Background checks, financial statements, home evaluations, references, classes that asked hard questions about readiness and love. At first it overwhelmed her, but each completed step gave back a piece of control. She started journaling every night, writing letters to the child she had not met yet. "Dear baby," she would begin, "today I moved one step closer to you." Some nights she cried as she wrote. Other nights she smiled through tears, steadying herself with ink and intention. Months passed. Her apartment transformed into a home fit for a child. Neutral colors, soft toys, a small bookshelf stocked with picture books, a crib in the corner beside the window where the morning light broke gently. She did not know if she would adopt a newborn or a toddler, but she prepared for love in every form. Her best friend, Denise, eventually figured it out. She showed up one Saturday with diapers, wipes, baby lotion, and a knowing look that made Camille laugh through her blush. "You are not alone in this," Denise said, wrapping her in a hug that felt like home. That evening, they assembled the crib. Screws rolled, wood creaked, and they found themselves taking deep breaths when the directions seemed cryptic. They kept at it, and when the frame finally stood strong, they stood, two arms around each other, and admired the possibility they had built. For the first time in years, Camille allowed herself to believe she was not broken, just rewritten. She checked her email obsessively, learned to wait with both patience and expectation, and reintroduced herself to the sweetness of ordinary days like a friend she had missed. Then the call came. A pair of twin baby girls, only 3 weeks old, had been left at a fire station in Augusta, Georgia. No names, no trace of family. Camille was on the short list for emergency foster placement. "Are you ready for 2?" the social worker asked. The question paused her breath. "2," Camille repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. She paused only a second before saying yes. It surprised her how quickly the yes arrived, as if it had been waiting at the edge of her mouth for years. That night, she and Denise drove east under a dark sky. The highway hummed. They stopped for coffee they barely drank. Camille kept her hands on the wheel and her eyes forward, as if fear could only catch her if she looked for it. When she saw them, tiny bundled and sleeping, she did not cry. She did not tremble. She smiled wide and real, an expression she felt in her chest. "Welcome home, my girls," she whispered as one little fist peeked out from a blanket and flexed against the air as though greeting the world. The transition was not easy. There were sleepless nights, endless feeding, diaper changes in the dark when everything looked like shadows, and moments she doubted herself while measuring formula at 3 in the morning. But she embraced every minute, grateful for the ordinary chaos that came with their breath. She named them Joy and Journey, symbols of what she had been missing and what she had finally found. Names that spoke to the life they would build together. A delight and a path, a laugh and a walk, a song and the space it needs to travel. Her social media, once filled with quotes and quiet landscapes, lit up with soft giggles, morning routines, and the learning curve of motherhood. A short clip of Joy hiccuping mid-yawn made friends laugh. A photograph of Journey's tiny hand wrapped around Camille's finger made strangers feel like they knew her. Her story gathered attention. People resonated with her resilience and tenderness. Comments poured in. I am crying. You are the mother I needed growing up. Thank you for showing a different way. Camille kept her feet on the ground and closed the applications when the noise felt too loud. Devin did not call. He did not reach out. But Serena did. One afternoon, Camille received a direct message on Instagram. We saw your post. Beautiful girls. That was it. No apology. No acknowledgement of the wedding toast. Only observation. She stared at the screen, then closed the application. She no longer needed validation from people who had never seen her clearly. The months turned to a year. Camille finalized the adoption and marked the day with a small gotcha day party. There were cupcakes with buttercream swirls, a banner that read forever, at last, and a circle of people who had shown up every time she needed them. Joy walked for the first time, a startled laugh shaking her cheeks as she reached Denise's hands. Journey said, Mama, her voice soft as sunlight. Camille cried for the first time not from pain, but from joy that felt like rain after a long season of drought. A neighbor nominated her for a local, Everyday Hero segment on the evening news. The reporter filmed her reading to the twins, cooking their favorite oats with cinnamon and sliced strawberries, and singing lullabies off-key as Joy patted the air to conduct the song. The segment aired on a Tuesday night. By Wednesday, Camille was everywhere, Twitter, TikTok, and the morning shows. Her message carried cleanly. Motherhood is not always about giving birth. Sometimes it is about showing up day after day, even when the applause is gone. One morning, she woke up to a blue check mark on Instagram. Verified. There were messages from adoption centers asking her to speak, parents asking for advice, and brands offering sponsorships she had never imagined. She laughed at the strangeness. It did not feel like a prize so much as a platform. She created a blog called The Barren Blossom, where she wrote the full story, her heartbreak, her healing, her triumph. The title made her grin every time she typed it. She wanted women who read her words to feel like they had walked into a sanctuary with room for their grief and their growth. With visibility came invitations. A charity gala in Atlanta for adoptive families asked her to speak. The hall was packed. She adjusted the microphone, looked out over the faces, and felt her voice tremble, then steady. Stories she had learned wanted to be told aloud. As she scanned the room, her eyes froze. Devin and Serena sat 2 rows from the front. Serena's face was unreadable. Devin looked smaller somehow, dimmer around the edges. Camille exhaled and placed one hand over her notes. The past does not get to narrate my future, she thought. Pain changes us, she began, but it also pushes us toward who we are meant to be. These girls did not grow in my womb, but they grew in my heart. The room held its breath and then released it with applause that rolled toward the stage like a tide. Afterward, at the refreshments table, Serena approached. They are beautiful, she said, nodding toward the twins. Camille smiled politely. Thank you. Silence stretched, taut as a wire. Then Serena added softly, I am sorry for what I said back then. Camille studied her face. The woman looked tired, worn in the way people look when they finally see the cost of their pride. I forgive you, she said. But it was not your words that broke me. It was forgetting my worth. That will not happen again. Serena blinked back tears and nodded. She returned to her seat. Devin followed, then paused near the doorway and came back, shifting his weight as if his shoes had grown unfamiliar. You look good, he said, reaching for something he could own, small talk. I am good, Camille replied. She waited. He searched her face, maybe for permission to say what he should have said 2 years ago. Do you ever regret how things ended? He asked, his voice lower than it had been. Camille looked across the room at Joy and Journey sharing cookies with Denise, their small hands decisive with crumbs. If things did not end, they would not have begun, she said. Devin stared at the carpet. You are a great mother, he murmured. I know, Camille answered, then turned to go. Weeks later, a major parenting podcast invited her to share her adoption journey. On recording day, she sat in a cozy Atlanta studio, headphones snug against her hair, her voice steadying as it filled the room. She told the story plainly: infertility, heartbreak, humiliation, and the quiet road to motherhood. When she spoke about her daughters, her voice cracked. "They saved me as much as I saved them," she said. The line echoed online days later. People wrote that they had pulled their cars over to cry, that something in them had been given permission to hope again. A publishing agent in Chicago emailed her, "Your voice needs to be in a book." Camille hesitated. Who was she to write a book? Then she remembered all the nights she had written in her journal, the battles she had fought alone, and the women who still felt unseen. She said yes. The book took shape in quiet mornings and late evenings after bedtime routines, in the hour between laundry and sleep. She called it Still a Mother. It was not only about adoption. It was about survival, self-worth, and rediscovering identity after a heartbreak that had felt final. Letters began to arrive. One from a woman in Texas said, "You gave me the courage to leave a man who kept blaming me for our losses." Another from Detroit said, "I could not have children, but your story showed me I could still mother through mentorship and love." Camille cried over those letters, pressing them flat on the table, as if closeness could bless the words back to the senders. She never imagined her private pain would spark public healing. Each letter reminded her why telling the truth matters, even when it is raw. The book launch filled a community venue with bright faces and thoughtful silence. Old college friends came, along with adoptive parents she had met in comment sections, church members who had prayed for her, and even an estranged cousin who had once doubted her and now carried flowers. Camille stood at the podium in a flowing cream dress, her hair in soft curls, joy and journey holding her hands. "This book is not about being a victim," she told the crowd. "It is about what happens when you keep showing up for yourself, even when the world stops clapping." Thunderous applause followed. Later that night, she received a text from Devin. "Proud of you. I was wrong." She looked at the message a long time. She did not reply. It was not pride. It was clarity. Some doors are safer when left closed, even if there is a person on the other side. The book hit bestseller lists in the weeks that followed. Camille traveled to speak at women's conferences, adoption panels, and parenting summits, careful to bring the conversation back to the children at the center of the story. She learned to say no to opportunities that asked her to perform pain. Joy and Journey grew into bright, confident little girls who loved puzzles, picture books, and the splash of bath time. Camille told them the truth from the start. "You did not come from my body, but you came from my soul." The girls believed her deeply, the way children believe what they can feel. When they introduced her to teachers or strangers, they announced, "That is my mother. She is our everything." Camille smiled through misty eyes every time. Love, she thought, does not require permission. It requires presence and repetition, again and again, until it becomes a home. In New York City, at a gala honoring transformative voices in motherhood, Camille walked onto a stage washed with light and listened as the room rose to its feet. A board member leaned in and whispered, "I remember your story. The wedding, the insult, the way you turned it into light. You are a miracle." Camille shook her head gently. "No," she said. "I am just a woman who chose not to stay broken." The phrase landed softly, and then the applause returned, as if the audience had been waiting to exhale. She dedicated her award to every woman who had ever been called less because she could not give more. Back in Atlanta, life found a rhythm. She documented ordinary days. The morning rush when milk spilled and shoes hid under couches, the quiet of reading time when two small heads tipped in the same direction, and the hard days too, when patience had to be practiced like a skill. One video captured Journey in the middle of a meltdown, Camille kneeling to meet her gaze, breathing with her, naming the feelings until the storm thinned into sobs and then into relief. The clip went viral. "You are the mother I wish I had," people wrote. Camille read the comments, then turned off her phone and kept parenting. She kept volunteering at the same adoption center that had guided her. Some afternoons she held informational sessions for new families and answered questions with gentleness, remembering how her own questions had once made noise inside her head like loose change in a dryer. One day, she was invited to speak at the very fire station in Augusta where Joy and Journey had been found. It felt surreal to load the girls into the car, drive down familiar roads, and step into the place where their lives had intersected in a way that made all three of them new. She brought the girls with her. They handed out thank you cards they had decorated with stickers and suns. They hugged the firefighters who had kept them safe, tiny arms around big uniforms. The lieutenant teared up. We never imagined they would grow up to be part of something this beautiful, he said. Camille smiled. Neither did I, she said. But sometimes beauty starts in broken places. On the drive home, the girls fell asleep before they reached the highway. Camille watched the road and imagined the past as a map she had folded and placed in the glove compartment. Useful, but no longer on the dashboard. With the help of friends and donors, she launched a nonprofit called Mothers in Every Form. It provided resources for women navigating infertility, adoption support, and emotional healing. She hired counselors, legal advisors, and social workers who knew the work could be as delicate as it was urgent. The foundation helped hundreds in its first year. Care packages with blankets and books went out to new families. Support groups formed in church basements and community rooms. Workshops taught people how to talk to children about their stories without making those stories feel like shadows. Joy and Journey often helped stuff the boxes, slipping in drawings of hearts and suns. We are giving people hope, Joy said one afternoon, tilting her head to tie a ribbon that refused to cooperate. Yes, Camille answered. That is the greatest gift. She tied the ribbon, then handed it back to small, eager hands. Years later, Camille stood in her backyard, watching her daughters run barefoot across the grass while the sun set and turned everything gold. She held a mug that read "Mother on Purpose," and felt the sentence settle into her bones. Everything she lost had led to this. The wedding insult was just a sentence in a story she had rewritten. As she looked at her girls, her heart, her second chance, she knew a truth that crowned every other truth. She was never barren. She had bloomed. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.